People have been asking for quite a while about uh, what I think about the hostage situation. And I ask myself, I try to ask, what do I know enough about anything to, about an issue of this importance, of this sensitivity, this pain, to take on an opinion? Think about it, what you're doing when you're taking on an opinion. You're getting information from several sources and you're trusting enough of them to put it together to form an opinion about a subject. Very good. This is part of what we do as humans, and hopefully, as adults, seems like a lot of pets know what's going on. But the hostage situation, the Torah is very clear. We always go back to the Torah because nothing else holds up over time. The Torah says you cannot give back prisoners for a kidnapped person. And we know the reason why, because we're afraid that, they're going to do it again and again. It's a good way to make a living. They used to do it all across Europe, all through Eastern Europe, as well as Western, over the thousands of years. I'm sure that kidnapping a Jew from a wealthy community can be a good business if you can just stay out of their reaches. And so the Torah says we can't have that going on with this multi-thousand-year project called Give the Human Race the Torah and see what they do with it. So you see, we go to the depth of the wisdom tells us how to act in these horrible situations. It also teaches us how to mourn and how to be there for those who are mourning and how to heal also from the wounds of war. But when they ask me what I think about the deal, I just default to the Torah because that's what every student of the great wisdom understands and learns. Eventually, we learn. If you learn enough Gemara and Chumash and Halacha and Kabbalah and Chassidut, you spend 20, 30 years of gathering information before you even stand in line to talk on the world stage. I mean, because we're talking from a very high place. We're taking responsibility for that speech. And so when we talk about taking hostages, kidnapping Jews, we're talking about extreme acts of war. And the Torah is also very clear about that. If a non-Jew, like a terrorist, most of them, I assume, although we don't know anything nowadays, I hear there's been a lot of tribal mixture over the last few centuries. But the bottom line is that, let's say you're a free thinker and you don't want to hold on to take the absolute Torah picture on all of these questions. You want to be a free thinker. That's okay. The Torah wants your free thinking. But it has to be structured according to a certain amount of given premises. Okay. So with all of this said, I decided, okay, it's enough. You know what I really think about to do about the hostage crisis? I answered that question. Will it be done? Probably not. Not unless a person on the stature, what they call the Messiah, comes along. Who else is going to listen to one man? How are, the Jewish people are 15 million kings without a country. One they could share. They could be a little king. And why should they listen to us? When you learn to listen to your heart, you feel better about listening to others because you have something to play it against. Something to create a little friction, a little warmth. But when it comes to jihad, and it comes to the transformation of the Arab nations. Forget about the non-Jewish people that support Israel. They're fine. The religious Jews, well, they're buying they got the whole package. The non-religious Jews, so which a great majority of them have been running this country for a long time, with various obvious successes and a few things that we're not so proud of. That's where the swing vote is. How many people from the left are going to go right, just like in the American vote, but right enough to make a difference? How do you make a difference with a nation, if you want to call them a nation, a people? They're not really a people. Palestine is an ingathering of Muslims from 10 different countries. Different people, same basic religious direction. Many countries, Southern Europe, Northern Africa, all over the Middle East, my friends. Do you really think that what any president says or what any bomb, even if they dropped a nuclear bomb, do you think that would stop them from fighting? No. That'd probably make them fight harder and hate us more. And do you think we're actually at the level that we could reduce a whole civilization to dust? Don't think it's going to happen. It's not God's way anymore. He wants human beings to act like adults instead of like children. See, children fight and play, and then they get bored with the fight and play, and they want rest, and they do it again. Now, of course, what are the differences in the consequences? How do adults act when it comes to when they fight? They recognize there's a problem. They try to look at the problem from many sides. They compare it to other cases. And the secret of Jewish adjudication, I like that word. Adjudication, that could be used against somebody. The sick people with language today, what they do, our language and our race. It's okay, we're going to win. God wins. Jews are just happy to be the supporters of the right coach, the right team. But when the real change has to occur in 1 billion Muslims and maybe a few other straggler 100 million anti-Semites from various places, what's going to change them all? Nothing, except one thing. And by the way, when God does miracles, he still leaves a window of free choice, a possibility of it coming through nature. But the only thing that's going to really change the hearts of these 1.5 billion people is the awe of God, because that's all they care about anyways. And even the ones who aren't religious, who are very wonderful, I've met them, educated Muslims, they're not even really Muslim, they're not religious, they're Arabic, but they don't want to, they're also like secular Muslims, but they're not secular, they believe in God. A truly secular person doesn't believe in God. You might think, I'm not sure, I don't know, maybe he's around and took a break for a few thousand years, but the Muslims all believe in God, whether they're religious or not. And you see, so the only way that they're going to be changed is through the awe of their God, which they hold is also the God of Abraham. They can't deny that because that's the foundation of their religion, but they can see, wow, God is doing awesome things for the Jews, and we're getting smacked down war after country after country. And they get smacked down, and they get up like nothing happened. Now, I'm sure there's mothers home crying and sisters and brothers that are crying for their sibling or child that decided to embrace militant jihadism. When your child comes home with that, it's it's not like he wants to change his sex. He wants to go out and kill. So a parent has to really deal. What is my responsibility? Well, you ask the Torah. What does the Torah say? Of course, we're obligated to stop him, or at least to try. And if I don't, and I am quiet, tacitly don't get involved, you're still responsible, just like the law today. If you know of something and don't report, you're responsible. Once I walked by a work yard and I heard people talking. It was interesting. So I stopped and pretended I was doing something in the work yard. Probably was doing something, looking for old hubcaps, And these guys were talking about preparing a bomb. I said, well, this is something I need to hear, apparently, because I'm here. And I'm not always shopping for hubcaps. So what happens? I said, this sounds like a conspiratorial meeting. The vibe in the air. I couldn't get the words clear enough, but I knew something was up. I didn't really guess a bomb was being prepared. But after the fact, I remember being worried about this group and not feeling good about it. And not really having access to those people well enough for them to listen to me. Because, part of making it in this world is knowing when people are not going to listen to you. You save a lot of oxygen, good air. And I went on. A month or so later, they attempted to use that bomb, and it didn't work. Thank God. And on we go. We live in crazy times. We live in times where people go online and get the instructions to make a bomb, and they do it. And they think it's righteous, too. Now, that's insanity. If there's a human code, what happened on October 7th from anybody's position is not human. It was demonic. And what I'm saying is if we want a real solution to this problem, we need miracle. Big, huge, fat miracle. Like bigger than splitting the sea. Because that only lasted 3 days and then they made a golden calf. Now, 3 days is not a good record for God's miracles, lasting impact. So we need a miracle that's going to have an impact for the rest of time. It's going to build a third temple. All the nations are going to bring their offerings, and it's going to be world peace that like everybody dreams and fantasizes about. No, it's going to happen. The derech, the way it happens, is where our free choice starts to interact with the plan. But we know, according to the big plan of the big designer, that there are certain events that are going to happen. Now, the biggest one that I could think of is Har HaZeitim splitting open, a mountain, downtown Jerusalem, most famous mountain in the world, maybe, the Mount of Olives, where King David walked up in front of the whole nation to beg forgiveness, and where other figures in history have purported to be and claim as their spiritual home. That claim, why not? Why shouldn't every piece of humanity have a claim to the one God? But what he gives me in return for my choosing him is his business. If he doesn't give me Jerusalem, okay, I'll take a little house out here in the country. If he doesn't give me Israel, okay, I'll take my house in Woodmere. Or it's our position with the Creator. Think about how you treat your most precious person in your life. Most precious. How you treat them is at least how we should try to treat the Creator, because he's been so good to us that we're still here to talk about it. It's a huge 4,000-year miracle, what God has done with the Jewish people. 4,000-year miracle that we're still here. Because it was going on day to day, just like your life and mine. And life is not built of years. Life is built of little moments, of days that you merit to remember. And the important moments and the big miracles we need now. And that's how we're going to leave this little talk, because I need to pray and stop talking about it. Right? And we all do. God bless us all. We will look for good news soon.